Here we are in Leupp on our annual trip up to get our Hopi artwork, and the Leupp Park and Swap is no today here on a Saturday, I guess because of all the laws, and the wind's blowing like mad. And I thought, I'm going up here to buy my art. I don't know if I'm going to find anybody, and we got a curfew going, so we're just going to take a little video of our ride between Leupp and Second Mesa Hopi. Two of my, what I call my Navajo sons, both worked here in Leupp at the Leupp school. James and Rudy Sonny, which I call my Navajo sons because it seems like whenever I get in a bind, they're there for me. So now we're pulling out of Leupp and we're heading due east, and we're on the Navajo reservation right now. And as we get out of Leupp here, we'll get up on the we'll go across the Little Colorado River, and it will be on our way straight north up to Second Mesa, where my buddy Lonnie lives. Ernest lives in Kykotsmovi or K-Town. And then we'll go up left and go try and find Lonnie on Old Oraibi and try and buy some artwork. The wind blows up here all the time, but I've never really seen it blow like this before. So see what it's like and see how things come out. So as always, God bless and enjoy from the Navajo Hopi Reservation in Arizona, where it's now 85 degrees. So here we're going across the Little Colorado River, and we'll make a left here. And there's no water in the Little Colorado. Usually there is. We've had kind of a dry winter. Now here it's summer, and monsoons should be arriving. It's already been up to 114 during the day in the valley. So, and here we go, going back in time now to Old Oraibi. Yeah, the roads up here are just absolutely terrible because northern Arizona is basically a beach. It was all under the ocean at one time. They're just taking this asphalt, laying it right down on top of the sand. And so it's a buckaroo ride across the res. I bring my jet up here through here. It'd be white knuckle time. I'd be really holding on because the winds just never stop blowing, and they're really going today. And it was just all over. But I've got this, I bought myself a new Passat, the old line. The older you get, the bigger the car, the smaller the house. So I got myself this Passat now, and it is like night and day driving. I'm using one hand now, no problem. But in the Jetta, I'd be driving every inch of this road. Those pink cliffs showing up there, Lonnie, that's the Yuma. I don't know. Sorry about that. Ernest Unani told me that's where the Kachina spirits live, in these pink little cliffs up here. I heard that from him, God, maybe 10 years ago. It shows up in my Kachina carver videos always. The Herd Museum in Phoenix. Now, no carvers this year because of the fake virus. So my poor Hopi buddies had only the, and the Navajos up here too, I should say, or all the tribes, only had one place to sell their stuff so far this year, and that would have been at the Phoenix annual Native American fair that I recorded last couple of months ago, just before all this crap started. So they didn't have their annual show at the herd. They make their money. Now just kind of, I don't know what they're doing. God's kind of made sure I had some extra bucks. This thing has really hurt me because I do government work. I've been shut down myself. But the God's made sure I had some extra bucks this week so I could head up here and maybe share it and buy some stuff. We'll just see what happens. We're still on the Navajo reservation through here, and I believe as soon as we get around these pink cliffs up here, it goes to the Hopi res. We'll see how far we are. We're 34 miles from Kykotsmovi, or K-Town, where Ernest lives. Idea why life on the res, I mean, no place to walk that's firm. I mean, everything's sand. There's no, I mean, it really is. Just everything is sand. So you get on top of the mesas, they're limestone. As soon as you get off the top there, you're in sand again. That's why the Hopi runners always do so well. The high school runners up here. Now the one Hopi, I think at Keams Canyon Hopi kids, I think it was the very first perfect score for cross country where their kids all came in, I think 1 through 4. And that makes it 10 if I remember right. I think that's one of the very first times that was ever accomplished. But 6,000 plus elevation, the place is a beach, and you're training on it. So, kind of one of the reasons the long distance runners go train in Flagstaff, very similar. You've got cinders there, they're like sand, and then you got 7,000 foot elevation. just put out a bid, my largest bid ever, $1,770,000 for Maricopa Tech in Phoenix. And that was to light up a football stadium, softball field, baseball field, tennis courts. And then you had ticket booths and locker rooms and dugouts and stuff like that. And then you had Musco Lighting, which is the famous guys that figured out how to light up race car tracks without getting light in people's eyes. And Musco was the sole bidder. They're the only ones that could qualify for what they do. I did a little work with Musco before at Scottsdale Stadium, but nothing like this. The 20 70-foot light poles, Musco wanted $675,000 for their share. Even though it'd been in my base bid, I'd never seen that money, because that money would have went right from Maricopa County Community College. I endorsed the back of it. They never go right to them. They don't want you playing games with that amount of money, and you can't blame them, the system. So keep pretty good tracks on when you spend big things like that. Like my project in Casa Grande had $100,000 worth of light fixtures alone. And that money, I just endorsed a check to the suppliers. And in the old days, they would have given us contractors the money. It would have been up to us to distribute the money. And they don't do that no more. We're all in a pretty much what they call a dual signature system now. And I'm really glad of it, because it protects me from the generals. And one of the reasons I do mainly government work is I use the government to protect me from the general contractors that just seem to get more unscrupulous as years go on. So by doing government work, they're forced to make sure I'm paid before they get paid. And the whole thing being is that you can't lean the government. They want to make sure their subcontractors are paid, because they know the past history of how things go on, especially here in Arizona, where I call it old tombstone still. Instead of bullets, it's dollar bills. And people will shoot you in the back over dollar bills here. There's those cliffs I was telling that Ernest told me the story about. We'll see more of them as we go around the corner here. Unfortunately, I got to make this whole thing in one little day trip instead of coming up and spending the day looking for art and stuff, then head up to Colorado or Utah to spend the night. Now I got to just make a total turnaround. I left my home in Scottsdale at 8:30. Took me 3.5 hours to get to Leupp, but I spent an hour, almost an hour at Sunset Point leaving the valley because of a wreck. Well, now I got to rush up here, try and find Lonnie. Can't find Lonnie, go to the lodge and try to buy some art from those guys, then turn back around. Well, I've been doing this for so long, I just didn't want to miss the summer of coming up here. I've outlived a lot of my Hopi buds. outlive a lot of my white ones. No doctors, no pills. You are what you eat. Yep, the last major event was 9/11, 19 years ago. And I guess the 19-year cycle is a cabal thing. I don't know a lot about it, but I've done some research on it. And I guess 19's bad stuff happens to you. Now last year was a 19. 2019 last year. I made good money, but I got the shit kicked out of me doing it. Yeah, my Rudy and James, actually they're both James the third and James the fourth. My Navajo sons, I call them, have been with me for over a decade now. And whenever I get in a bind or something, the gods always make sure they show up. I need help on a job because I can't find decent help. Well, those two guys are master electricians. And they always seem to show up. Now, James is in Seattle working right now on a government base. He's making $66 an hour. And it always seems like when I get a good job going and I need help at the end, one of his jobs like that wind up because he travels all over the south, well, all over the country with a certain company that just does government work. I'm not sure how they get their contract, but they love James. Well, they should. He's a great electrician. And you see him in my videos a lot, especially at the last one with just the Peace Corps coolies. Rudy, his son, ran an $800,000 project for me when I was the head guy at Sunbelt Electric. We've just always been together, and I said whenever I get in a bind, they're there for me. Rudy's now working at Intel, the chip manufacturer in Chandler, for what I call the big Freemason in the sky, because Delta D, the owner of Delta D Electric, is a Freemason. And they get all that kind of work. They get the hospitals, and, you know, kind of like the rest of us get the crumbs out here. And there's just no way you get around really, really big projects without the Masonic touch to it. It's just the way it is. And I've watched it in my business. Like when I started, the electrical supply houses were mom and pop operations. Now I think 3 suppliers control all the electrical materials in the world or something like that. And I'm married to one of the biggest. And you got to be married to these things. Like I'm married to RC Lurie Lighting, which is another monopoly. It took me years to get in with these guys, but you have to prove yourself. Not necessarily have to be a Freemason, but you better take the materials away and bring the money back. And I'm famous for that. I may not get no money. Maybe broke at the end of a job, but everybody's paid. I'm never so upside down where I'm gonna go bankrupt myself or something. And that's why they like me, you know, I keep the circle going. And every ever since the Masons made contact with me, and Rudy was with me at Black Theater Troupe, been about 7-8 years ago, when they scared the hell out of me, then gave me gifts to get my attention. I've been really protected. I always have been in my life. I just never knew why or who. And I have a few Freemason buds. But they're all just Blue Lodge, 3rd degrees. Kind of what they call a career move. They ain't plotting to blow up nobody. Starting to get those farthest cliffs. We're starting to close in on Kykotsmovi, or Hopi Second Mesa. Kykotsmovi was, I'm sure there was something there before, but the people that live in Kykotsmovi and Leupp, you know, you had the big split on Old Oraibi when the Christians came in, and then the tribal members, the Hopi on Old Oraibi, some wanted to learn English, the others didn't. One problem the Hopi had with learning English is they wanted to use the Christian Bible to teach them how to read and write. Well, the elder wiser Hopi knew that would be a double-edged sword, because then they would force their religion on the Hopi children and wash away their past, which they really did anyway when they came up here and rounded up all the children and forced them onto Indian schools. In fact, one of the biggest ones is in Phoenix. A lot of the Hopi kids were removed from their families. And I mean, they were hiding them like they hid their children from the Navajos, and took their kids away and took them off to the valley. And of course, their diet changed, everything changed for them. And that's how they did it, kind of like what's going on now. Very, very, very similar. You're close down the churches and stuff. Just a step towards, I believe, their one God. I always like the Hopi term for that, head of all ceremonies. Lifestyle was just pretty much a ceremony. From sun up to sundown. we're getting on Hopi now. Well, we've been on Hopi for quite a while. I think it turns into Hopi about midway from Leupp to K-Town. I've been to a Kachina dance in every village now that have Kachina dances. Beautiful outskirts of Kykotsmovi. About 10 months since I've been up here. I doubt anything's really changed. And we got a Navajo eagle there in the middle of the road. This is like the outskirts of Kykotsmovi, and right down, go through downtown Kykotsmovi, where Ernest has his home. And he has a little ranchette that I did a recording from with him many years ago. Fire station they've added. There was the old one there. So that's new. That really messed me up having to sit there at Sunset Point for an hour. Car wreck going up the hill. Here we are at the intersection of history. And we'll just keep the camera rolling and show you how the ride is all the way up to Old Oraibi. I got time left on my video. Go by my old buddy up here, Dave, that owns where I filmed Hopi Rush Hour from many years ago.